All right, guys, we want to talk a little bit today about linkage for your steering column down to your 6R80 transmission or a 10R80. Just depends on if you got a Gen 2 motor or a Gen 3, whether or not you got a 6R80 or a 10R80, but the concept is the same. So what we do here is we always try to use a rod if we can. And then that rod has these Heim joints on here, which are adjustable. And we can also cut the rod. So you can see this end piece right here. We can take this off. We can cut the rod to the length we need. And then we try to install it on here. So initially, you're going to want to start by bending a piece of wire first. You only want to bend this one time. And so I always kind of like to bend kind of a heavy gauge welding wire, a piece of aluminum, or just 1/8 inch rod, something that you can redo it a couple times before you start bending this, because this is kind of a one and done, and you want to get this as accurate as you can. But initially, this would actually probably be right up at the column right here. And so if you got a column, this is going to have a bend in it, and this will mount on your column part, so that as your column goes down, this is pushing. Okay, so as this goes, your column is going reverse neutral drive, it's pushing this way, okay? So we sell this little bracket. We've got a couple of variations to it, but this little bracket goes on just like that, okay? And then you'll put your nut on there to hold it on. And then this will actually go right here. So this will actually get bolted on. If you were to stick that on there, get that through there, that'll be there, and then this Heim will actually get bolted on just like that up to the column. As you're in park, you're going to go to reverse, neutral, and then drive. Okay, you don't actually want to go any further, because you're just going to go into the manual mode, and unless you have paddle shifters and stuff, you kind of want it to stop before you go in there. And so sometimes you may want to put like a little stop block to stop you. But essentially that's the easiest. It doesn't mount up like this. Okay, this would be wrong, but it has to mount down, okay, so that you can actually push it this way. Now on the factory one, it's mounted up, and then there's a cable that goes to it. So if you have to use a cable, maybe you're using the shifter right here and you can come down and use the cable, then great. But if you're using something like this rod to get your steering column hooked up, whether you're using a Ford factory steering column, you may have to adjust that, drill a hole out, and so you can mount the Heim joint, or you're using a Flaming River column, then you just mount this to the column, and you'll have a rod. It'll come down, it'll be bent, it'll come down and sweep into here. Now, keep in mind your steering columns don't have any detents in them. So if you want to feel the detents, click, 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 that's all built in the transmission, okay? And so from there, reverse, neutral, drive, you're going to feel that detent in the column as you're feeling the detent down here. It's pretty straightforward. It does take a little time. You do have to kind of spend a little bit of time. You might have to trim this down a little bit, and this end you can cut off, loosen the set screws, trim it, put this on, and then you also have a little bit of adjustment in the Heim joint. So it's pretty easy to do. I mean, we've done a bunch of them, and so it's, we just know you got to, spend an hour or two to make sure it's right, and you'll have it. So we sell these on our website. You can buy this with this for your 6R80. We also have these for a 10R80. We've made a few little revisions to them, and you'll have all the parts you need to bolt it up. We've tried to simplify this a little bit to a little bit better kit, where you're only actually getting the stuff that you need, not a bunch of other stuff that you don't need for the 6R80 and the 10R80. So anyways, hopefully that's a little more helpful for you on how to do it, how the install goes. Pretty straightforward, and if you have any more questions, just email the guys at info@fatfendergarage.com. Thanks.